Proof of vaccination will be required at movie theatres, gyms, restaurants in Ontario.
Here's a summary of the article.
Ontario residents will need proof of COVID-19 vaccination to go to gyms, cinemas, restaurants, casinos, and a slew of other non-essential businesses starting September 22. As part of the provincial government's vaccine certificate program, which was announced on Wednesday, all Ontario residents will be required to show that they received both doses of an approved COVID-19 vaccine at least 14 days earlier in order to eat inside restaurants, work out inside fitness centres, go to nightclubs, cinemas, theatres, strip clubs and casinos, as well as attend concerts, sporting events, and other large, organised gatherings in indoor settings. The province said detailed guidance will be provided to businesses on how to implement the vaccine certificate program in advance of September 22. The program, which is intended to be temporary, aims to reduce overall transmission in the community and encourage vaccine uptake as a high level of vaccination will be required to reach herd immunity with the more transmissible Delta variant, officials said. In the absence of government policy, several businesses and sporting organisations in Ontario, including the Blue Jays and Toronto FC, have taken it upon themselves to require patrons to produce proof of vaccination or a negative COVID-19 test result to gain access to their facilities. In recent months, Ford and some of his cabinet ministers repeatedly spoke out against the use of vaccine passports, and even ruled out using them in Ontario. About 83% of Ontario residents 12 and older currently have at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine and about 76% are fully immunized.
This post received a score of 24,000, with an upvote ratio of 87%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Retail managed to get an exclusion lol.
Better yet, employees of places requiring vaccination proof don't need to provide proof of vaccination themselves.
At least in Quebec, that's because workers are governed by a different institution that has determined we cannot require workers to have the vaccine.
Why not?
Because the right to work is more fundamental and protected than the right to go to a restaurant or a gym.
That makes sense, but people also have the right to a safe work environment.
This is completely true, and I agree with it, it's just how the bureaucracy works. The rules governing placing restrictions on employment are tougher, and it's much more difficult and time-consuming to place restrictions on that.
The workaround in Calgary right now is buildings are requiring vaccines to keep the employees at other tenants safe. Why you can't get to your job is between you and your employer.
This goes into effect September 22, which is 2 days after the federal election. The Ontario government has delayed this long because they didn't want their federal counterparts to get fucked in the GTA like they did in the 2019 federal election.
Why do you think the two big conservative premiers are hiding in their hidey holes like golfers? Even looking at their faces will drop the federal cons a few points come election day. Also, the existence of the small PP party means the crazies could jump ship at any time, so the cons need to play their cards right to keep that vote.
I golf once a week from my hidey hole. It's no biggie.
You'll never see Doug Ford and Bobby, the Brain, Heenan in the same room.
I mean, Heenan died several years ago, so that's kinda a no-brainer.
He also lost all the weight back when he first had his cancer diagnosis in the early '00s. Looked nothing like the guy we remember from TV.
Okay, now require those establishments to have adequate HEPA air filtration systems.
It's not just HEPA filters. It's air exchange in general. HEPA filters are only one of the many suggestions the CDC and APA recommends for buildings.
And this would be helpful in general because a lot of buildings have very poor ventilation and as a result can have very high CO2 levels. People can begin feeling drowsy, fatigued, cognitively impaired, or have headaches as low as 1000 ppm. Although sensitivity will vary person to person, and one study of classrooms in Toronto found that 43% experienced levels of CO2 above 1000 ppm. So even putting COVID aside, funding improved ventilation is a good idea for protecting public health.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.